Tofu Dopiaza. It features pan-fried, medium-firm tofu and double onions. The dopiaza refers to two types of onions that are added at separate stages during the cooking process. The first being leeks, and then the second being red onions, which I slice into petals for extreme crunch. So you get both the delicious earthy oniony flavour and some sweetness, and also incredible texture. The key to wonderful flavour in this dish is to ensure that your first addition of onions are cooked low and slow so that they release all of their aromatic sweetness that kind of caramelizes in the fat along with some of the spices, and that is what's going to give our curry immense base so that you have flavour in your tofu as well as texture. So it's not just about caramelizing them to a point where that they're starting to go golden, you're also incorporating the freshness of that second addition of onions. The incorporation of black stone flour in this dish is what gives it the most beautiful fragrance, and this is an ingredient that is used quite commonly in biryani and in lots of North Indian recipes. It's called black stone flour or dagad fool. You can buy it dried, it comes in a big bag, it's fairly inexpensive as well, but it really does make all the difference to this dish, so I encourage you to try and source some so that you can kind of see the impact that this ingredient has on your everyday curry. It's also a spice that I like to add to my rajma for kind of depth of flavour, and it has like this kind of earthy umaminess to it, and it really does make a huge difference.
Tap the link in the description box for a full list of ingredients you need to make this recipe. Let's start with the tofu. My favourite type of tofu is a medium firm variety. I buy it from my local Asian supermarket, but you can use whatever style tofu you like best. Maybe not silken though. Pat the tofu dry using paper towels. As this is medium firm, I'm not going to press it too hard, but if you're using a firm or extra firm variety, you might want to press it for around 30 minutes or so, and this is just to remove any excess water. To press it, all you need to do is weigh it down with a couple of tins of beans or something else that's quite heavy. I cut my tofu into triangles for this dish, but you can cut it any which way you like. Heat a small amount of cooking oil up in a large pan and add your tofu pieces. Cook the tofu on all sides until they're golden and crispy. And a great tip for when you're cooking tofu is to add a little bit of salt to the surface so that it draws out some more of that moisture from inside. This means that the tofu will absorb more of the sauce and more of the flavours. And of course it will help season it too. Once it's looking lovely and crispy like this, remove the tofu from the pan and drain it on kitchen towel to absorb any excess oil. Most of you will already know that the base for any self-respecting dopiaza dish is the onions. In my case, it's leeks. I love the mellow onioniness of leeks. If you can't find them, then you can also use spring onions. When preparing leeks, we always want to clean them thoroughly. They're grown in soil which gets trapped in these little folds. If you don't clean them properly, this grit will ruin your dish, so please do it thoroughly. Once you've washed them well, slice the leeks finely. know what you're thinking, this looks like way too many leeks, but please believe me when I say these will cook down to practically nothing, just like our friend spinach. So here we have our two types of onions that are going to form the base of this dopiaz dish. Adding two types of onions like this isn't very traditional, as most recipes will simply rely on one type of onion added at different stages during the cooking process. But in our case, we'll first cook the leeks for a mellow, savoury base masala. We'll then stir fry the red onions for sweetness and crunch later on. Heat oil in a large wok or kadai. Add dried red chilies, bay leaves, cassia bark or cinnamon, black stone flowers, which make all the difference in my opinion, and cloves. Now tip in your mountain of sliced leeks. Cook over a medium-low heat for about 10 minutes until the leeks have softened. They should just start turning brown. And as if by magic, they've cooked down to practically nothing. Some juliennes of ginger, crushed garlic, a tin of chopped tomatoes, ground coriander seeds, ground turmeric, ground cardamom seeds, salt, and red chili powder. I'm using Kashmiri chili powder for colour rather than heat. Now give everything a really good mix up and bring it to a simmer. To balance some of the sweetness of the onions, I like to add a small amount of dairy-free yogurt for tang and sharpness. Mix it vigorously and quickly so that it incorporates and doesn't curdle. Most dopiaz recipes will include a souring agent, be it yogurt, mango, lemon, lime, or even cranberries. Cook this masala well, stirring all the time for around 7 to 8 minutes until it's thick and pasty. You might notice some oil pooling around the sides of the masala at the base of the pan. And if you do, that's great, it means it's time to stop. It's now time to throw in our second Piaza, red onions, and some mild green peppers cut into rings. You can also use capsicum. Stir fry these vegetables for 2 to 3 minutes until they're just slightly softened. Now in goes the tofu we pan fried. Rub some kasuri methi between your palms and add it to the dish too. This makes a little go a very long way. Toss or fold everything together, taking care not to break the tofu. Heat everything through for 1 to 2 minutes. If you prefer your dopiaz dish with more of a sauce, then you can by all means add a splash of boiling water and bring this to a simmer. This will create a thick sauce. Garnish with fresh coriander and fresh ginger juliennes. Serve this Indian restaurant style curry with paratha, roti or naan. I love mine with lacha paratha and saffron pulao. And that, my friends, is how we take a North Indian restaurant favourite and turn it into a vegan showstopper. If this curry makes you weak at the knees like it does me, hit like on this video and don't forget to subscribe for more Indian vegetarian comfort food recipes.